how, and these dogs, they literally saved your life, right? So
100%. Yeah. I had a very real transformative moment, like you say, like they talk about, you know, these where the heavens open up and lightning strikes and you have this kind of epiphany. It was very, very, very ugly. My epiphany was I'm happy to get into it if I get emotional. I'm sorry, but yeah, for me, you know, I think we can allow doubt to creep in so heavily, and when you have a crisis of self-esteem and you don't know how to get it back, it is so hard to face life. It is so hard to get up every day and it's not that I hadn't done esteemable acts. I had just hit rock bottom. I was in liver failure. I'd been in the hospital for 6 months. I wanted to kill myself. I'd been addicted to Dilaudid and morphine in the hospital. So I had 2 addictions to fight: acute alcoholism, liver failure, kidney failure, you know, and this opiate addiction. And I didn't know the first thing. I didn't know what to do. And the path of least resistance for me was suicide. So I'd spent, you know, just days daydreaming about taking my dad's gun. I'd even sat with it on my lap, thinking about, you know, this is my only option, and daydreaming about going for a hike and just taking my own life with my dogs. And then one morning, you know, I'd been out of the hospital I'd been admitted to the transplant program at Cedars-Sinai. I'd been out of the hospital for a little while, for like a couple of weeks. And I was taking a million different medicines to try and save my life, to try to keep me out of liver failure. And it was in the middle of the night, and I had soiled my bed. I had gone number 2 for your listeners. I won't describe it in any more detail. And it's really embarrassing, but it happened several times a night at that point. I was taking Enulose, which keeps ammonia buildup out of your brain. When you're in liver failure, you vacillate between coherent and totally incoherent. And this medicine helps keep ammonia off your brain so you can communicate, but it has a lot of bad side effects. So I had soiled myself, and I didn't want to wake my dad up, who had been my caretaker for like a year up to that point. So I walk past the full-length mirror, and I'm looking at myself, and I'm completely yellow and purple. Every part of me that's had a needle stuck into it or that I've bumped is totally purple. All my skin's yellow. I got varicose veins in my throat, which is called esophageal varices, which is deadly. It's a mortal condition. So I was falling apart. I had huge 9 months pregnant belly with these varicose veins feeding it. I'm looking at myself. I'm taking this all in, and I'm at the furthest rock bottom you can possibly get at. You know, I was kind of grappling with the idea, how was I still alive anyway? And in that moment, I just started to sob, and I felt so sorry for myself, so mortally sorry for myself. It was like, there's nowhere to go from here. You know, you just got to end it. I couldn't help myself. I didn't know how to put one foot in front of the other. I didn't know how to love myself. I didn't know how to coexist with myself. I didn't know how to not hate myself, like, constantly. You know, and I turn around. I'm in the middle of this just end it moment where and I turn around, and my dogs are looking at me. Next to the toilet, there's, like, this sounds terrible, but there's vomit next to the toilet from earlier in the night. And my dogs are just sitting there looking up at me like, everything is perfect. I am the world's greatest human being, absolutely hand-delivered from God to them. And they're looking at me like, not only do they see me, but they understand me, and they love me, and they recognize that I'm still in there. And up to that point, I had not been sober a day in my life. I was scared of everything. I absolutely hated myself. And I'm looking at myself in the mirror, just I didn't recognize myself. I didn't know who I was. That's a really scary thing, to look at your own eyes and go, who is that person?
Wow.
So in that, I was like backed away and went, all right, that was it. That was confirmation that I need to end this. Like, this is just not good enough. And then sure as shit, as I'm overwhelmed with that feeling to take my life, I look down at my dogs, and they're looking up at me like, nothing is wrong. I'm absolutely lovely. I'm made of stardust and you know, God atoms. And I had this peace, this acceptance came over me, this love, this kind of idea that things were going to be okay. And in that moment, I really just gave my life to them. I said, all right, guys, you know, I'm going to just spend my time with you. Let's let's see what we can do. I kind of just committed to taking the first step, which for me was that morning trying to go for a walk. I started to journal, I started to meditate, and I started to walk. And just getting out there and doing walking meditations in the morning in the mountains fundamentally changed my life. And I started to get physically better. I started to get spiritually better. I started to connect with a God of my understanding, which is not Christianity, which is not Buddhism, which is not Hinduism, it's not Zoroastrianism. It could be a combination of all of them. I don't know, but it's a God of my understanding and dogs that understand me. And that combination really helped save my life. And it set me on this trajectory to create Marley's Mutts. And from that moment on, man, I just started bringing dogs into my home from the shelter, and we spent every waking hour rescuing dogs. And it really didn't stop for a decade. And the more dogs I rescued, the better I got, the healthier I got. And to the point where once I finally qualified for a liver transplant, I didn't need a liver transplant. So I'm still functioning with my same black liver. I have what's called stage 3 fibrosis. So I'm still sick. You know, my kidneys aren't great. My gallbladder's not great. My liver is not great, but I'm alive. I'm well. I have a beautiful wife. I just had my second daughter. I have an incredible pack of dogs. And I owe that all to, that entire epiphany and that whole experience was God and dogs acting in my life, doing something for me which I couldn't do for myself. That whole experience was outside of me. It wasn't me that did any of it. And that's kind of a key to a big key to my success story is, sure, I did a lot of the work, but a lot of it was feeding it, was allowing myself to follow my intuition and allowing people in and allowing people to believe in me and letting people in even when it was very uncomfortable because I felt so low about myself. And it's made all the difference in the world, man. I can't believe where I am. I can't believe that I get to coexist with the woman of my dreams and the kids of my dreams and the dogs of my dreams. And it's all very special.